Good evening, this is William Stone bringing you the Stone Report for Wednesday, August 5th. In world news, the number of COVID cases around the world are exploding. Numbers climbed from 16 million to 17 million in the space of 4 days. Leading the pack is the US, Brazil, and India. UK's Boris Johnson says, "Let's be absolutely clear about what is happening. You're starting to see in some places signs of a second wave of the pandemic. We have seen over 200,000 new cases per day since mid-July. According to Johns Hopkins, Wednesday marked a new record in infections reported in a single day at over 290,000. Experts say the true number of cases could be 10 times that number. Worldwide, we have reached almost 700,000 deaths. Debates over masks and other measures are a large factor in the spread of COVID. Health officials have blamed the recent surges on loosened economic restrictions and growing gatherings of young people who are leading other demographics into new infections. With looser restrictions, this will most likely continue indefinitely. Meanwhile, in Canada, the number of cases remain very low. In related news, Americans traveling through Canada to Alaska can expect stricter rules. The Canada-US border remains closed to non-essential travel in order to keep COVID rates low. Currently, Americans looking to drive to Alaska are allowed to travel through Canada. It turns out that some Americans are entering Canada to visit tourist destinations rather than heading to Alaska. Canada's efforts to crack down on these rule breakers will now be tougher. CBSA says as of July 31st, stricter rules and additional entry conditions will be imposed on travelers transiting through Canada to Alaska for non-discretionary purposes. Points of entry will be limited and their cars will be tagged with a specific departure date. The CBSA emphasizes these measures are put in place to further reduce the risk of introduction of COVID-19. They also add that these measures also apply to foreign nationals transiting to the US through Canada from Alaska. With no border opening in sight, they better get used to it. Anyone breaking the rules will face hefty fines and possible jail time. Closer to home, the Ontario government has announced back-to-school COVID measures. Elementary and high school students in Ontario will be heading back to school this fall. Elementary students will return full-time and secondary students will have a choice between online and in-person classes. Not everyone is happy about this. OSSTF President Harry Bischoff says, "We were not consulted nor were we given an advance to look at the plan." The Ford government says that health measures such as masks, sanitizing, and distancing will be put in place. Elementary students up to grade 4 will not be required to wear a mask. Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca says this is nothing short of a catastrophe, and the government blatantly ignores recommendations from school boards, teachers, healthcare associations, and parents. NDP education critic Merritt Stiles agrees that we are putting our children at risk. Liberals believe it will require over $3 billion to create a safe environment for our children, not the $300 million that Ford is promising. Doug Ford says, "When it comes to keeping our kids safe, I won't take any unnecessary risks." He adds, "School reopening is critical to learning and development for Ontario students, and a critical support for the families to get back to work and allow for the reopening of the economy. In the meantime, parents can opt children out of classes. Contact your local school board for more information." In local news, London's economy may not be as grim as you think. Even though our economy has been forced into a recession due to COVID, a key economic forecaster says the region will bounce back strong in 2021. London's low rates of COVID has resulted in reopening of many businesses. Chief economist with the Conference Board of Canada, Pedro Antunes, says, "We certainly feel like we've seen the worst of it." Even though unemployment rates have skyrocketed in London, the silver lining is that we have been able to keep infection rates very low. London has entered stage 3 of opening, which means we should see a faster rise in our economy as compared to other parts of Ontario. Antunes says a couple of indicators, including retail sales data, are telling us that we are seeing a rebound now. Finally, On the lighter side of news, we have a story from Vermont. A Vermont skydiver has been reunited with his prosthetic leg. Chris Marks, a double amputee, jumped out of a plane last Saturday only to discover one of his legs missing after landing. The tandem skydive was a gift from his ex-wife. Marks is working through a bucket list of things due to a recent cancer diagnosis. Mark said, "I think my adrenaline was so high that I just never even realized it until I actually looked down and saw I was missing it." Pleas went out on Facebook asking people to help look for his leg. Vermont farmer Joe Marzalkowski heard about Chris and eventually found the leg in his soybean field, shoe attached and all. Marzalkowski said, "I was very grateful to have found it without running it over with a machine." A recent Facebook post from Chris says, 9,500 foot drop and it's 100% intact. I cannot even begin to thank everyone enough that has been involved with the search. You all have shown me there are still so many good people. Marks, who is in end-stage kidney cancer, was grateful to be reunited with his leg and to continue with his bucket list. The two men say they may skydive together one day. Reporting live from beautiful London, Wednesday, August 5th, this is William Stone signing off for the news. Thank you for choosing the Stone Report, and good night.